If you've just joined us, welcome to the Hitachi Social Innovation Forum 2021 Southeast Asia Online. My name is Sophie Gollifer and I'll be helping to moderate today. Now, it's Hitachi's global flagship event working towards realizing a sustainable society through the social innovation business. And ladies and gentlemen, we are making history because for the first time ever, it is virtual. So you can enjoy it from wherever you are, have a cup of coffee, just enjoy it. Now, the theme is digital transformation in the new normal. This forum will showcase how strategies can be pursued under the pillars of smart cities, smart manufacturing, and of course, smart public services. Now, the presentation that you're about to see is called Hitachi Digital Smart City, and it starts by thinking about happiness. And with the year that everybody's had, I think that is a joyful way to look into the future. It is building on the success from numerous smart urban projects globally. Hitachi continues to innovate through the use of original technologies and digital solutions to address social problems, enhancing the lives and bringing happiness to the people who visit, work, and play in these environments. Now, during this session, you will explore Hitachi's approach for constructing smart cities in a way that is people-centric, future-proofed and resilient. And I would like to welcome our speaker for today, a man that knows way more about this than I do, Mr. Van Tang, Director and Head of Business Development and International Partnerships, APAC, Hitachi Asia Co. Limited. Mr. Tang, take it away.
Thank you, Sophie. So I would like to start off today by first offering my deepest condolences to anyone who has been affected by the coronavirus during the past year. I've been working on the smart cities for quite some time, where we start about thinking about happiness. You may have heard Dr. Yano speaking about that just now. I'm going to carry on with that. About a year ago at this same time, I was participating in the Hitachi Social Innovation Forum here in Southeast Asia, and I met Dr. Yano in person. And we talked about happiness. I learned a lot from him during that time, where we were able to meet physically, have a great discussion, and learn. So I've kept a very open mind. And of course, during the past year, I've spent a lot of time thinking about happiness, thinking about how that would apply to the work that I'm doing with Hitachi on digital smart cities. So having said that, I'd like to move into a kind of framework where I started looking at how happiness could come together in smart cities. One of the things I studied was the World Happiness Report, of which here you can see multiple dimensions by which the World Happiness Report talks about happiness, from income to social support, life expectancy, freedom, generosity, and trust. As I read through this report and thought about the work that I was doing with my team, I then looked at it and said, okay, how would we look at measuring happiness at multiple levels? One here is shown at the city level. Of course, we could do it at the country level or even further at a region level. And then from the city level, moving down to the next level is we were looking at it from a district level or a smart mixed-use development level, something that is in the realm more of the private developments that are being built today that we are working with in the region. And of course, very importantly, at the people level. And this is where I think you heard a lot from Dr. Yano already, who spoke about all the various ways by which we can measure happiness in the daily interactions with people and movements and so on. This kind of set the playing field for me of how would we look at measuring happiness. So taking it to the next level, I took it and looked at different aspects along each of these dimensions. I won't go through all of those in detail, but you can imagine, for example, having good health or behaving in a energy savings manner could earn you carbon credits on the income side. Moving on to the district level, and this is where we're working with real estate developers to look at how can we define certain programs that could be run by the developers or the landowners to influence decision making by people toward enhancing overall happiness over time. And then, of course, we could take that to the city level and then look at various indexes for how we measure happiness. So trying to just align that to the World Happiness Report, clearly Hitachi has been doing work in many of those areas already. Now, coming into the tail end of last year, we had the Hitachi Social Innovation Forum in Tokyo as well. And during this forum, I'm showing you a graphic now. It's an infographic of a very lively, a bustling city, where it shows and it depicts a very kind of happy scene. And I really love this graphic because it starts by thinking about happiness. And some of the areas that we take into consideration, the scenarios, if you want, whether you're visiting the city, you could be a tourist, or you could be visiting from the outskirts of town. How do you entertain yourself in the city? Play. In the work area, how can your work be improved through digitalization or future-proofing of certain business processes? And just as importantly, on the bottom there, how we live in that city. This map is made available to you on in the forum area. You can download it. It has a lot of detail, and you can zoom in and out and check out the photos and the pictures on the screen here. At this point, I'd like to jump into a video that depicts what Hitachi views as a digital smart city.
人がこれからの街に望んでいくことはどんなことでしょう。安心して快適に過ごせること。新しいものやことと出会い、ワクワクできること。一人一人が街に望むことは異なりますが、これまでも、そしてこれからも、人々のさまざまな思いが街を作る大きな力だと言えるでしょう。日立の考えるデジタルスマートシティ。それは人の幸せを一番に考え、人を中心に作られる街です。人の変化や暮らしの困りごとをデジタル技術で捉え、エネルギーや交通などインフラのデータも活用して街に求められるニーズを分析。求められる機能を必要な場所に必要なタイミングでアップデートさせていくことで、人が求める魅力的な価値を提供し続けます。デジタルを活用し、変化するニーズに継続的に応えられる街を作ることは、突発的な災害やパンデミックに対する備えとしても欠かせないものとなるでしょう。そのような街での人々の暮らしはどのようになっているのでしょうか。一人一人のあらゆる活動がより快適、安全、安心に。世代を超えて学び、心身ともに健康に。活動する場所や時間をもっと柔軟に。新しいコミュニケーションが新しい楽しみやにぎわいに。住まう、訪れる、働く、遊ぶ。そこに集まるすべての人が生き生きと暮らし続ける街の実現を目指して、まず人の幸せから考えよう。日立は住民、ステークホルダー、社会とともにデジタルスマートシティの実現を通して未来の街づくりを支えていきます。
So as you could see from that video, Those were some of the scenes or use cases, scenarios of digitalization in a smart city that gathers data and helps with decision making, potentially boosting happiness in the city. On the back side of that service map that I was showing earlier, here you have an example list of all the different types of technologies that could be used in a digital smart city. Again, you can download this on at our booth, the smart city booth at the in the forum area. Please do take a look at that and do ask us any questions you have about that. Moving on to the next slide, I'll be talking about here the buildup of data. And we look at data in multiple dimensions. On the one dimension, there's the government-driven type services. These are citizen type services from cradle to grave, or municipal services such as electricity supply, gas supply, and so on. Every city, as was mentioned earlier during the panel discussion, is different from one another. So the types of services that would be on offer in that city would be different. In the middle, this is the area where we've been spending a lot more time with the real estate or property developers of analyzing or understanding what types of services can the property developers offer. And those can range, and sometimes there's overlap with the government services depending on how the city is organized or the district is organized, as you can see here in the examples. Finally, of course, there is a whole world of different types of digital or data-driven services going on in the world. And these are examples of those. There are plenty out there, such as the car sharing applications and so on. These are areas where the property developers can also collaborate with the private sector. The key here on the right-hand side is emphasis again on data and who owns that data and how do we collaborate across the different domain areas in order to create the highest value add services that ultimately would increase quality of life or happiness in the city. Going on, you have the well-being and happiness here, of course, the being people-centric. Here I would like to focus on that collaboration a bit more by highlighting the fact that Hitachi is very much into co-creation of such digital services. So we collaborate not only with our own partner ecosystem, but also with our clients' partner ecosystems of technology or services providers in order to create what we call infrastructure as a service. That's on the bottom there. These are just some examples of how we can provide digital infrastructure as a service to a smart city over a long period of time in order to ultimately look at designing up front and how do we future-proof for the future so that the services do enhance quality of life in the city. In terms of the typical process, you'll see on the bottom there, the EPC cycle or typical cycle of building a city. On the top, you have the digital services life cycle, which is very different from the long cycle of the EPC cycle on the bottom. Over time, we've learned that, of course, the digital services go through multiple versions and in a much faster way than when we build an actual physical city. Now, without going through all of those details, you'll see that the buildup of all of that requires quite a lot of expertise in order to ultimately get to a built environment and the right standard operating procedures for all of those digital services. That's something that, of course, requires quite a bit of alignment. And with our experience so far in constructing the built environment for smart cities, we've learned from that. Finally, I would like to end on a slide that shows some of the experiences that we have not only in this region working on smart cities. You can see those across the top. And then on the bottom, I'd like to just highlight, of course, as you've seen this morning already, Dr. Yano's work on Happiness Planet and the application Those are some examples of the work that we're doing on digital smart cities. With that in mind, I think that's the end of my talk. I'd like to pass it back to you, Sophie.
Mr. Tang, thank you so much. That was fantastic. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any questions or inquiries at all about what you've just seen and heard, you can actually hop on to or email them to inquiry.asia.gu@hitachi.com. So that's inquiry.asia.gu@hitachi.com. Now, the next breakout session is going to happen in about 5 minutes, and you can refer to the agenda tab to find out the details. And also, don't forget to visit all the exhibition booths, attend the webinar sessions, which of course you are, and participate in the survey, because $5,000 worth of prizes are going to be given away, and that could be you. This has been Sophie Golifer. Enjoy the rest of your day.